to the next question. Yeah.
The next question, Guruji, is humble prostrations to your divine lotus feet, Guruji. There are times when I have a sankalpa or I start any work, I encounter obstacles. Why it happens like that, I do not know. Should I look at it as an obstruction or that I am ineligible to proceed in that direction? Why does it happen? Is it due to any lack of error in the sankalpa itself, or is it a test from the divine as to whether or not we fulfill the sankalpa? This happens many times and I get disturbed mentally. What must one do for sankalpa siddhi, be it a material or a divine karya?
A very common confusion, more especially among youth. And of course, in everybody, even be it elders. I'm looking at this question that arises from the sacred domain of Karma Yoga, Bhakti and Jnana, three together combined. So far, it touches upon one of the most subtle junctions in the seeker's life, the interplay between divine will and personal will. Every aspirant, from the humblest devotee to the greatest rishi also, they stood before this invisible threshold where sankalpa meets resistance. When obstacles arise after a sincere intention, the mind starts getting trembled. Is this the universe signaling no or testing my faith? This trembling, if we carefully observe, is not a weakness. It is the divine alchemy through which your sankalpa is purified. Ego is thinned and Ishvara Sankalpa, the divine will, begins to replace the Jiva Sankalpa, your individual desire. So I'm looking at this question is not to be about a failure or success. It is about alignment. Remember this. The seeker here is not asking why is this not working, if we rephrase this question, but rather, how can I know whether I am in tune with the dharma? Remember this. The very attitude is the beginning of the sankalpa shuddhi, to make happen the sankalpa siddhi. The purification of intention. This is the process of purification of intention. So, in the Yoga Vasishtha, there is a subtle story about the sage Sikidhwaja and his wife Chudala. Sikidhwaja, though a king and a man of discipline, once renounced his kingdom seeking spiritual liberation. He performed intense austerities for years in solitude but found no peace. When his wife Chudala, who is the realized yogini, then Sikhidwaja, her husband, she is the more, she is the realized yogini, disguised as renunciant. And she met him and questioned his method. And then her husband replied, "Oh, my dear wife, every time I take a sankalpa for deeper meditation, something distracts me. Sometimes the body, sometimes nature, sometimes the mind. I feel the world is resisting my penance. I feel that the world is stopping my tapas." Tapas means the penance. And now his wife Chudala smiled and said, "When a lamp flickers in the wind, the wise one does not curse the wind. He protects the flame with his palms joined together, and it learns to burn steady by itself. The obstacles are not enemies. They are winds meant to strengthen the flame of your resolve." Only then Sikhidwaja, the king, realized the divine does not test the sincerity of a sankalpa through ease, but through friction. For without friction, the inner fire remains dormant, Remember this. Let us understand the nature of sankalpa first. The word sankalpa, if we look at, it comes from the root, the Sanskrit root dhatu as sam. Sam means well and perfectly. Plus kalpana, the formation, which is imagination and conception. It is the seed thought, the bija that gives birth to the karma, the thought. In the Vedic tradition, sankalpa is never just a wishful thinking, but it is a shraddha purvaka nischayam, a sacred determination that aligns one's thought. Remember this. A sacred determination that aligns to speech, a sacred determination that aligns to action with dharma and with the will of Ishvara. But between the thought and the fruit lies the mysterious terrain of illusion, maya, prarabdha, and daivatva. The power of sankalpa must pass through these stages of maya, prarabdha, and daivatva. Like a seed pushing through soil, stone, and sunlight before even it becomes a tree. So the appearance of obstacles does not always mean a no. It also means that purification, the ego that made the sankalpa, needs refinement. And it also means a preparation. The environment or karma is not yet ripe. It can also mean protection. The divine delays what might otherwise harm your evolution. And it can also mean perseverance. The test of constancy, what we call as in yogic terms as dhriti, before the siddhis manifest. So look at two types of sankalpa that we discussed. One is the individual sankalpa, as the wishfulness of the mind. That what we call as the jiva sankalpa, a personal will. This is born of ahamkara, ego, and limited understanding. So this jiva sankalpa often desires, it expects, or even fears sometimes. So like, may I succeed in this task, may gain this position, may get this result which I am anticipating to be delivered with. When such sankalpa meets resistance, the mind starts interpreting it as a failure or a lacking. Let us look at Ishvara sankalpa, the divine will. This arises when your thought is surrendered to the divine. It is just effortless, luminous, and fearless. Like to take some example, let this work be an offering to the Lord, the God. May thy will be done through me. Even if the outcome appears opposite to your expectation, you being a seeker, do not feel any agitation there. Because the inner purpose has been fulfilled, which is to offer to the Almighty and receive whatever that has been graced with, without any judgment to be good or bad. The art of sankalpa siddhi, if I have to say, is the gradual transformation of jiva sankalpa into the Ishvara sankalpa. Please remember this. Let us understand why these obstacles arise. One is that past karmic friction, what we call as the karma sankocha. Every action creates an unseen momentum. When we take a sankalpa that aim to rise higher than our previous tendencies, try to understand what I am saying. When you take a sankalpa that aims to rise higher than your previous tendencies, the stored energies start resisting, like pulling a boat against the current. Remember this. And another obstacle, if we can look at the wheel of the illusion, Maya's wheel. The universe protects higher knowledge from the unprepared mind. Just like as a temple's sanctum is entered only after purification, so also is every noble goal guarded by the tests of patience, humility, and faith. Then you will get purified to enter into the sankalpa siddhi. And the prana imbalance is one more factor. A sankalpa taken without proper calmness, or just out of mind's craving, out of urgency, without knowing the outcomes of it, or even without knowing how the outcome is going to impact you. So a sankalpa taken without proper calmness or sattva pradhana, it often lacks pranic strength. The result appears as inconsistency, as a confusion, or even as misdirection. So the ancients always preceded a sankalpa with dhyana, nyasa and japa. Then goes sankalpa. So that to attune the prana with the purpose. Another factor is a grace in disguise. Remember this. It is a grace in disguise. Like sometimes when you call failure is actually the divine's hidden mercy, redirecting you from harm or from a lesser path to a greater one. Look at what Ramana Maharshi said. When the ego weeps for what it has lost, the soul rejoices for what it has found. So now what is sankalpa siddhi and what shall be the inner process? There shall be a purity of feeling, what we call as the shuddha bhava. A sankalpa made with love for the divine, not with anxiety or desperation, it carries power, please remember. The pure bhava or the sattva bhava, the shuddha bhava, acts as the subtle current through which the sankalpa reaches the cosmic field. No doubt about it. Then sakshi bhava, the witness attitude. Once the sankalpa is made, withdraw identification of yourself as the doer. Be a witness to the unfolding. This reduces resistance and increases what I call as the synchronicity. Then single-pointed faith, ananya bhakti. Like in Sri Vidya, before any mantra japa, the sadhaka prays, Mama sarva sankalpa Sri Lalitambika anugraha siddhyastu. It means, what does it mean? May all my intentions be fulfilled by the grace of the Mother, not by my limited effort. Look at another factor, the karma yoga. Proceed with effort, but surrender the fruit. Even when obstacles come, act without agitation. When every obstacle at that time becomes a part of the divine's choreography. And then another factor is dharana and japa. Constant remembrance, the smarana, anchors the sankalpa in the subtle mind. Japa of the bija mantra connected with your sankalpa, it reinforces the energy thread to make that happen. Another factor is seva and tyaga. Selfless service and letting go of results are the two wings of sankalpa siddhi. The divine uses a pure channel, and service purifies the channel faster than austerity. Now, let us look at this. When you face an obstacle after a sankalpa, relax for a while. Don't immediately get agitated or start doing analysis by accumulating a lot of information. Let's not get into those kind of things. just give a little break and start asking yourself, is your intention rooted in love or in fear? Question yourself. Are you offering this work or you are owning it? Question yourself. Can you be at peace even if this does not go your way? If your answer to the last question, this is, can you be at peace even if this does not go your way? If the answer is yes, that you are at peace even if it does not go your way, then your sankalpa has already reached siddhi. Understand what I am saying? Because it has transcended. Because it has transcended. For this we know about the sankalpa. All of us must be knowing, at least majority must be knowing about the story of Bhagiratha, the ultimate sankalpa. No story illustrates this better than Bhagiratha's tapas to bring Ganges, Mother Ganges, Ganga Ma, to the earth. Generations before him had failed. Yet his resolve was not born of ego but compassion to liberate his ancestors. Every time he met obstacles, many obstacles, from the gods, devas, from the earth, from Ganga herself, but he bowed and prayed, let your will manifest through me. His penance was not only external austerity, but internal surrender. When Ganga finally descended, even her torrential force was too much for the earth. Then he prayed to Shiva, and the Lord received her in his matted locks, Jata. So Bhagiratha Sankalpa, it has become very widely known as Bhagiratha Prayatna. You all must be knowing. A symbol of patience, a symbol of humility, and a symbol of divine cooperation. That is why even today a great effort is called as the Bhagiratha Prayatna. So remember, when we falter, if sometimes out of fear or people pleasing, we compromise or fail to uphold our sankalpa, do not grieve. Just as the moon waxes and wanes, yet remains full and the whole, so also does sincerity will flow. The divine measures not your perfection but your perseverance. Please remember this. The remedy here is remembrance, returning again and again to the flame of that intention, no matter how many winds have shaken it before. So every sankalpa is like a mantra. The mantra vibrates not because of sound alone, but because of the shraddha that you carry within you and the living faith behind it. When faith ripens into surrender, the sankalpa becomes self-fulfilling. So do not judge by appearances. Obstacles are the secret teachers of sankalpa siddhi. They make the intention luminous and worthy of divine partnership. Remember this. Look at Bhagavad Gita, 18th Adhyaya. If I remember, it must be 14th sloka. The divine is the fifth factor in every action. So let the divine be the first also in every sankalpa that you make. May you every time be successful in your sankalpa siddhi. Shubham.